I found myself flying through a star-filled realm.
It's a glimmer of heaven, many say.
It's rapture. It's beyond description.
I just felt absolutely ecstatic.
Is there life after death? This is probably one of the most controversial and debated upon topics in history. But many cultures and religions do believe in the afterlife, and have their own rituals they perform in order to ensure one gets there after death. From specific burial procedures to finding peace on earth. Let's talk about this and more only in today's video. Top 10 secrets to the afterlife found in history. Starting off this countdown, we have the ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians did a number of rituals after someone died to ensure they made their way to the afterlife. First off, the dead were put to rest surrounded by their personal items. Their tombs were filled with tools, food, wine, perfume, household items, clothes, etc. Everything they believed they would need for the afterlife. In fact, the food was carefully preserved to ensure it would last them for their long journey to the afterlife. Then they had the embalming process and the canopic jars. So the Egyptians made sure to preserve the vital organs for the afterlife. They did this by carefully removing the organs from the dead and placing them in jars. One jar was for the lungs, one was for the stomach, the other was for the intestines, and one for the liver. The heart was always kept in the body though. Again, all of this was done to ensure the individual got to the afterlife with no problem. And lastly, we have the burial mask. People of power were often buried with a burial mask on. These masks were made to resemble the person that they were placed on. It was done so that the spirits would recognize the body after death and help them to the underworld. Furthermore, the mask was filled with oils which helped with the mummification process. And lastly, the Egyptians also created something known as the Book of the Dead, which helped them prepare for the afterlife where Osiris, the god of the underworld, would judge them. Coming in at number 9, we have ancient Greece. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up because it really helps us out. The ancient Greeks had a quite different view on the afterlife. They believed that when a person passed away, they would take a ferry and go to the underworld to Hades. But no matter if you were good or bad during your lifetime, it was believed that everyone just went down there to the same spot. And obviously it's no sunshine and rainbows down there, it's pretty cheerless. So everyone that was buried had to be done so with a Greek coin in their mouth. This was enough to pay for the ferryman for the trip across the river Styx and to Hades. Well, then the Greeks were like, screw this, why should there be equal misery for all? So then they began the good go on to the afterlife. So from the 6th century BC onwards, they believed that if they practiced certain secret rites, then they would get to go somewhere that was a happier place. Moving on to number 8, we have reincarnation. A number of cultures believe in reincarnation, particularly Buddhists. So they believe that after you die, let's say you have unfinished business left on earth, then your soul will be transferred into another body to enjoy life again. The reincarnation process will continue on and on until you accomplish everything that you believe you have been set out to do. By doing so, you will reach nirvana. It's the end of suffering and a heavenly paradise where your soul can rest. Moving on to number 7, we have the Chinese burial rituals. Similar to ancient Egyptians, the ancient Chinese believed that the dead should be buried with everything they would need in the afterlife, such as their personal property. In fact, people of power were often buried alongside their servants and soldiers. So they would engage in human sacrifice in order to make sure that the individual would be protected by their soldiers in the afterlife, but also would have an assistant there as well. That was until Emperor Yin Shi Huang. When his tomb was unearthed in 1974, they found an army of 8,000 life-sized terracotta soldiers. They were designed to be his protectors in the afterlife. So instead of sacrificing 8,000 people, they just created these ones instead, which is a much better choice if you ask me. Coming in at number 6, we have the water burial. A number of cultures, especially in Nordic countries, engage in something known as water burials. It's a sacred ritual in which the dead are placed in coffins and then at the top of cliffs facing towards water. Or they would place the bodies in something they called death ships. Then their bodies were placed on a river or ocean and pushed out. This was said to give the bodies back to the gods. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Jainism. There are approximately 4 million people that follow Jainism. This is the belief that there are a number of gods out there, as well as they believe in reincarnation. Similar to Buddhism, they believe that they will continue to reincarnate until they reach liberation. Liberation is only achieved if they avoid bad karma and cause no harm. Now, here's the thing. The reincarnation process is pretty dark. So when people die and don't achieve liberation, they might have to go through 8 hells of suffering before their rebirth. Each hell gets colder and colder and gets worse and worse. The soul is subjected to a number of torturous things before they reach the final hell and are placed back on earth for another chance to reach liberation. Once they do, their soul gets a place among the gods. In our 4th spot today, we have the Chinese traditional religion. Individuals who follow the Chinese traditional religion believe in a peaceful life after death. In order to do so, the individual needs to perform specific rituals to honor their ancestors, like partaking in prayers, ancestor worship, longevity practices, and more. Now, upon death, the god Cheng Wang will determine whether someone's spirit is good enough to go to paradise, or if they will go to hell and then reincarnate to try again at life. Moving on to number 3, we have the Aztecs. The Aztecs believe that when someone died, they would enter one of 3 places in the afterlife. Sorry if I pronounced this wrong, but they are the Mictlan, Tlalucan, or the Sun. Mictlan is the underworld. Those that lost their lives from horrible causes would end up there. Tlalucan is a paradise ruled by a rain deity. So those that lost their lives by drowning or by getting struck by lightning or even by dying from a disease associated with the rain deity would be sent there. And those that lost their lives during childbirth or any fallen warriors would transform into hummingbirds. In our 2nd spot today, we have the Mayan burial rituals. The ancient Mayans viewed getting to the afterlife as a dangerous trip. As a result, they buried the dead in a way that they believed was easier for the soul to pass through the afterlife and into paradise. So the dead were buried with maize, aka corn, in their mouths. That to them was a symbol of the rebirth of their souls. It was also said to provide them with nourishment on their journey. Additionally, their bodies were positioned in their graves in the direction of the Mayan paradise. They believed this would make it easier for them to get to the afterlife. And lastly, their bodies were sprinkled with red cinnabar and wrapped in cotton. This was said to be a disguise for them to avoid being attacked by demons while on their journey. Everyone who passed away had to go on this journey except for those who died at childbirth or died from sacrifice, battle, or took their own lives. If this was the case, it was believed that their soul would pass directly into paradise. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the lost souls. Now, let's talk about the poor souls that can't find peace and are stuck here on Earth. These are what we know of as ghosts. Now, ghosts are often tied to the location of their death. They often are stuck in that area if their death was sudden, like they were murdered. They then may start off not realizing that they are actually dead. Sadly, most ghosts won't be able to leave until they find peace, whether that be getting justice or help catch their killer or saying goodbye to their family. It makes it even harder though when they don't receive a proper burial or if their body was never found. These ghosts are stuck haunting the earth until their body is found and they can reunite with it, or until they receive a proper send-off, for example, a funeral. If not, they might never reach the afterlife. Now I feel bad for ghosts, like I'm not afraid of them anymore. I just want to help them. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Make sure you comment something down below because I love reading your comments. And now, speaking of comments, let's move on to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video Top 10 Evil Cursed Books That Should Be Destroyed. Heather Carter commented, "Are those 10 pages hidden by the Vatican? It would not surprise me." I don't know. I seriously don't know, but like I said before, I hope that those pages are burned because we don't need anyone summoning Lucifer or Satan, okay? We just don't need that. Not at this time. Not ever, actually. Joan Cena, is it like John Cena, but like his sister, so like Joan Cena? Anyway, commented, "What is the only thing the devil fear? It's you." Like me in particular, like I think I'm more afraid of him than he is of me. He's probably like, "I can take her down. Who's this peach? Like, you know? And Wolf Maiden 11 commented, just a note to Lindsay. Oh, here we go, love it. I liked your hair when it was the natural caramel. Honestly, I didn't even know that was the color of my hair, but I'll go with it. But the blonde additions make you look bald in the front. Well, guess what? I wore my hair in a ponytail and it looks like I'm bald at the side now. So screw you, I don't care. I gave my hairdresser a picture of Caillou and I said I want to look like that, and so she nailed it. That's what it is. Yeah. Alright guys, that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya.